You know what time it is. It's your boy Kyle Santilly, and today, man, I got somebody here sitting down with me that's doing major things in the world of NASCAR while also representing HBCUs from Winston Salem State University. Rajah Caruth is here. What's up, bro?
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, appreciate you being here, man. I've been kind of watching you from afar, seeing what you got going on, and there's a lot of things for us to get into, but I will start with the fact that more than just you being a young black driver in NASCAR is that you represent our alma mater, my alma mater, because you're still in school.
I'm still a senior. Yeah.
Winston Salem State University, bro. That's what's up, man.
Appreciate that. Yeah, so my dad went to Clark. And he
that's
also
what
was a
the
teacher at
HBCU,
Howard. Yeah,
yeah.
So it was already predetermined, you know.
The first time I noticed you on the track, you were driving around the track and you had the Winston Salem State
Yes,
logo on it.
Man,
Talk to me about how the school supported and got to the space where they're on the car that you're driving. How did that come about?
Yeah, so I guess it started 2022 when I was still driving for Max Siegel. That's the owner of Rev Racing.
Mm-hmm.
He's also the CEO of US Track and Field.
Mm-hmm.
So shout out Max. Driving the Winston Salem car back in May of 22 was a lot of fun, just because led 30 laps. You know, I felt like that was my first real chance of like leading laps, running up front. You know, and it didn't work out, but I learned a lot that day. So it was cool to represent my school. They had a little section in the grandstands too with some alumni, so that was a lot of fun too.
So how does that work though? So the school says, "Oh, we see what you're doing. We want to sponsor the car."
Yeah, supporting the not only me driving but also the program, because I would love for, you know, once I'm done with school this year, the program to still survive and grow, because I mean, it's not only honestly helped with my driving, not necessarily the techniques, but just everything else for understanding or just having perspective on it, I guess would be the way to put it.
Why do you feel like you are the person that's kind of breaking through in terms of like a driver coming out representing the school in this way?
Man, I don't know. I think it's really a blessing, honestly. I don't know how else to really put it, just because I started before I started in school, and then as I've started to make my way through driving, I've also been going through, you know, my studies, so it's been probably, I guess, the best of both worlds. And it's great to represent my school and really the culture as we, you know, go across the country.
Let's take it back to the beginning, man, because you're only 21 years old. You're a senior in college, but you're already racing professionally in NASCAR. But let's go back to the beginning and tell the people, you know, what it was that even put you on this path. Like, you're a kid, and what's the first thing that you can recall that had you interested in racing?
Man, it was really because of my dad. You know, through the work he's done over the years in the music industry and the sports industry, he got to like travel a lot. You know, when my sister and I were younger. So he'd get like different toys and stuff, and he'd get cars sometimes, and that's really what sparked that interest. The Cars movie came out when I was, you know, 4 or 5 years old, and my parents took me to see that when I was, you know, that age as well, and that's really where it started, that interest, and then I didn't like phase out of it, you know, because like as a kid, you know, some people are like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, and then it kind of goes. But racing, it never went away from me. So
you're watching cars, you're playing with cars, you're getting a little bit older, you're playing video games with cars, and I know at some point I read that you were even doing the driving simulators.
That's how I got started.
Which is crazy, right? Because I recently was on a flight and I watched the movie. I forgot the title. Gran Turismo, right? Exactly.
That's essentially close to my story, but just like 10 or so years earlier.
So tell me just a little bit about getting involved with the simulators and that transition into being behind the wheel of a real vehicle.
Yeah, so it's called iRacing. So it's an online service where they have pretty much all of like the major racing competitions or leagues in the world. You can compete on it at a consumer level, you know, but also you have, you know, younger kids like myself that competed on it to get noticed to potentially, you know, get to race in real life.
It does seem like, though, even though, like, because I played Gran Turismo before, it looks real, you know, the controls seem real, but I don't see how it could match the actual feeling of moving at 200 miles an hour in the car. You know what I mean? Was that a difficult transition?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it really took me. So I did well enough on iRacing to make NASCAR's Drive for Diversity program. You know, when I was a senior in high school, and so all the way up till I was 20, and so they really developed me and helped with these like baseline lessons that you don't learn when you race online, because it's like, okay, you can just reset, you know, and like you don't feel any of the forces. You're literally only getting that information from your eyes, your ears, and maybe your hands, depending on how you have the steering wheel settings. You know, and that was an adjustment for me, because when you're in real life, you can use your entire body to feel the weight distribution in the car.
What was the first thing that hit you like, whoa, this is real?
Well, for the first time I drove a race car, I stalled it like 15 times because I didn't understand how the clutch worked.
Right.
Yeah.
And how old were you at this time?
I was 16 turned 17.
Yo, so most people at 16 or 17, 15, 16, 17 are getting their driver's license to drive a regular car.
Right.
And you're getting in a race car.
Right. Well, I mean, I grew up in D.C., so I didn't necessarily need a license, like taking the metro everywhere or taking the bus or biking or walking. I didn't necessarily have a need to have a license really until I moved to North Carolina.
All right, so talk to me. You mentioned it a second ago, the Drive for Diversity program.
Yes, sir.
Tell me a little bit about how they help you. What is the program? Who's in the program? You know what I mean? How does that help you along your journey?
Yeah, so it's NASCAR's program. It's got a driver development program, a pit crew development program, college internship in the initiative. I'm not sure what the specific name of that one is, but
right.
It's cool because it gets people that either have an interest in racing or have no clue about it and sees the potential like that they have as professionals. And so that's really where I was developed from. Learning the basics of like how to pass somebody, like that is an art, you know, and a lot of people, you know, think it's easy and it's not. And you know, they were patient with me, and for sure, I mean, I showed up every day and put in the work, but also like they were patient, you know, and let me grow a little bit, and I showed them that I was serious. And they allowed me they created a platform for me to do well.
So with the diversity program, because we're seeing right now in this day and time where there are some people that are trying to get rid of diversity type of programs, you know what I mean? Have you faced any backlash maybe because of the diversity program, or are there certain people that are trying to gatekeep the sport that feel like, no, he doesn't really belong here with us?
That's a good question. So honestly, like in the sport, like a lot of people have been like very like welcoming, you know? And like it's been good because like fellow drivers and other crew members, like the interactions I've had have been like based off of things that happen on the racetrack, like forgetting all the other stuff, like seeing me as an equal, and that's been great. And all the other noise, I mean, it's from the outside, but at the end of the day, like it doesn't matter because they're not the people working on my trucks, they're not the people supporting my family and I. The noise is outside, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It doesn't matter. I know it's there. You know what I mean? Because
it's definitely there.
Anytime that we, as black people, do something that we haven't traditionally done prior,
there's always
that backlash.
Noise.
So I can only imagine that there's some of that you have to deal with. You know, especially you being young, coming out of an HBCU out there on these NASCAR tracks.
Yeah, it's especially hard, like for I don't want to call myself a kid because now I'm a young man, you know. But I mean, we grew up with our phones and grew up with social media, right? So everybody's got an opinion, and it's hard sometimes, you know, to like understand like everybody has one, so it really don't matter at the end of the day. Like especially since they're not helping you, they're not involved in what you have going on. So just kind of taking that with a grain of salt and just trusting in your people and your process.
What's the top speed you've ever hit?
Like ever?
Yeah.
On the street, I'm just playing. No, but I mean on the racetrack, like 185, 190 for sure. But this is gonna sound crazy, but the faster I tend to go, and the more I've raced, like everything slows down, and it's really peaceful for me, honestly, because especially like times where you have to be really accurate with placing your car like close to the wall or perfect to like a specific line or seam on the racetrack. Like that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's crazy. But at that speed, and those cars are so close together, and we've seen wrecks and stuff like that. I know your parents worry about you.
Yeah, so it's funny. One of my team owners told me that they said I was up to my mom last week, and I was like, man, I'm glad like I don't see her reaction like, during races, because I already know that she gets nervous.
When you're going around the track, 185 miles an hour, you say everything slows down. I just can only imagine like how many thoughts are going through your mind, like trying to make a move. I don't even know if there's a question in that, but it just seems incredibly difficult.
That's real. I mean, it's just, I equate it to just not being caught up in the moment. You think about, I guess, other sports where you get to those, 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter of an NFL game, or your last time out in an NBA game. I think you gotta keep in control of your emotions and not let it affect kind of what's going on, and not even a bad emotion, just like, oh, this is like what I've been waiting for, I'm so excited, when it's like, well, don't get excited now, you're gonna change what has gotten you to this point. So that's been something I've really tried to work on this last year, where like last season, for example, like I had a couple of times where like, okay, I'm in third, I'm in second, and like this one time I made a mistake, blocking somebody, and I took myself out the race just because of like, man, like this is like the farthest up I've been so far. It's my rookie year, like this is it, I got to get it now. When in reality, like I had a whole rest of the race left and I didn't need to do that. So that's been one thing I really learned about, is like knowing that it's not the end all be all, and just living to fight another day. Because to be honest, like you can always wait a corner, till the next lap, and the opportunity to pass will probably be still there.
What is something about NASCAR, Now I won't even say NASCAR. I'll just say about professional driving, racing, that you wish more people knew that they don't know?
That is like, I mean, it's not just riding around, you know, in circles. You know, it's hard, I think, show that, I think, especially me driving. Like, I know it's not that. I know from the average fan's eye or someone that's never watched racing, they say, oh, it's just cars going in circles, you know?
Right.
And I
because a lot of us would say, they were like, yo, who wants to sit at the track?
Right.
And watch the car go around in circles for 8 hours.
Right, but like, if you, at the same time, if you go there and even go and see the cars in person and let them drive by you one time, you'll see like, oh my gosh, like this is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
You know, so that's, I mean, I would just love for more people to go because, I feel like the environments at racetracks are better than they used to be. Better than like when I first went to races when I was like 12, and that's, you know, just now 10 years ago.
Right.
So I think it's getting better, and it's going to continue to get better, and it's already, you know, in a good spot.
I hear what you're saying about that. Maybe that is something that we should, you know, try to experience
Definitely.
a little bit more, for sure. All right, man. Well, listen, man, I wish you the best, man. And I think what you're doing is great. I love the attention that you're bringing to the sport. I love how you're representing for, you know, young black drivers, for HBCUs. And I love your parents' support, too. Like, I see your parents in here and making sure that everything that you do is on the up and up and keeping you on the right path. For everybody out there that's a Rajah Caruth fan, what's some final words you might have for them? You got fans now, bro.
Yeah,
you gotta
man,
talk to
that's
your
also
fans
kind of
now,
crazy
man.
because I mean I'm a pretty lucky dude. So, man, keeping an eye on that 7100cars.com Silverado. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's you all day, man. I appreciate you, bro. Keep doing your
Yes,
thing.
sir. Thank you.
All right, there it is. Good stuff. Absolutely.
Cool.